I want to talk about the Eurovision Song Contest, which at the time of recording this video is happening in Europe this week, and the grand final is happening this Saturday night in Basel in Switzerland. If you live outside of Europe and you're not familiar with the Eurovision Song Contest, it's an annual competition that started way back in the 1950s. And every year, every nation in Europe submits a song to this competition. It's got to be a brand new original composition written purely for the contest. It can be any genre. You can choose any artist you want to represent you. It can be about any subject that you want. And it's this huge live event that lasts for several hours on a Saturday night every May, as every nation in Europe lines up to perform their song to the live viewing audience of millions around the continent. Often people around Europe will have viewing parties around Eurovision with friends and family. It's just this massive continent-wide event. And after all the songs have been performed, this is the tense part, there's a live vote to decide which country had the best song of the evening. Half of the vote comes from a panel of experts in each nation, and the other half comes from a live public vote. And the only rule is, as you phone in to vote for your favorite song, you can't vote for your own nation. That's the only rule. The prize for the winner, apart from the trophy and the glory, is that their nation then gets to host the competition the following year. Now, when I was growing up, the Eurovision Song Contest was a big event, but to be truthful, it was not taken very seriously in the UK. It was made fun of because it was a bit twee, it was cheesy, it was silly, a bit ridiculous, and it was a very light-hearted thing. It was something we kind of made fun of. But essentially, it was wholesome family entertainment, something the whole family could sit down and watch together on a Saturday night. I know certainly it was something that I watched with my family growing up. It was a chance to be patriotic and get behind your nation's song, maybe to gently make fun of some of the neighbours for what they'd put forward that year, because it really could get absurd. As you can probably tell from these images, we always used to laugh as well at how political the voting was and how the nations would tend to give maximum points to their closest political allies and neighbours, regardless of what their song was. So the Scandinavian countries would always give maximum points to each other. Sweden, Denmark and Norway, they'd all stick together. The Baltic states as well, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, they would stick together. Portugal and Spain would always trade maximum points. Also Greece and Cyprus, they would all stick together. So we'd kind of sit there as a family, and perhaps Portugal would come up on screen to announce the results of their vote. And we'd look at each other with a smile on our face and kind of say, what are we thinking here? Spain? I think they're going to vote for Spain, give them maximum points. And then of course, they would give their maximum points to Spain and we'd all laugh about it. So it was a bit silly, but it was fun and it was wholesome. That's the word. It was wholesome, as you can probably tell from some of these earlier images from the 50s through to the 1990s. And occasionally it did break some genuinely good artists as well. ABBA famously got their big break on the Eurovision Song Contest representing Sweden in the 70s, and Celine Dion also won in 1988 representing Switzerland, and that kind of broke her to a larger international audience as well. At some point in the early 2000s, however, perhaps the late 90s, the gay community began trying to claim that Eurovision was their thing. You always know when the gay community is trying to lay claim to something and trying to muscle in, because they start describing whatever it is as camp. Oh, the Eurovision Song Contest, it's so camp, isn't it? The rest of the world kind of replied and went, what? No, it's literally just a wholesome singing contest for all the family to enjoy. Do not ruin this. But they replied, no, it is. It's so camp. And everyone kind of slumps their shoulders. Here we go. And so increasingly, seeing it as their thing, they were drawn towards it. They started to become very visible around the Eurovision Song Contest. They'd be front and center in the audience with gay pride flags in a way they just hadn't been before. They started to make up more of the performers. The songs increasingly were being written by gay writers with the lyrics promoting gay propaganda. They increasingly made up the production team, and everything around it became saturated with this kind of gay agenda. This was the presenter of the BBC coverage when I was growing up, a straight married man called Terry Wogan, bit of a national institution in the UK before he died. But this was the BBC team for 2024, all of them overtly gay men. And now, because of this massive gay infiltration and influence, It has stopped being that wholesome singing contest for family viewing, which it had once been in my childhood, and has instead become that thing which the gay community had once imagined it was, but which, until they took it over, hitherto had never actually been, if that makes sense. They took this wholesome thing and they turned it into their twisted, perverted version. It increasingly became a platform for sexual confusion, transgenderism, weirdness, darkness, fetishes, and really at times, if we're honest, it's become indistinguishable from a gay pride event. I haven't heard or seen any of the songs from this year, but I just looked up the launch video for this year and this is what immediately came up, which is just so frustrating. It just saturates everything about the Eurovision Song Contest now, and especially far left propaganda as well. And every Christian I speak to about the Eurovision Song Contest now always says the same thing. They always use the same word. It's become a bit dark, hasn't it? Eurovision Song Contest. It's become a bit dark. I mean, compare this from the earlier years to this from 2024. Once so innocent, and now openly satanic, demonic. In fact, it's so bad, I couldn't actually show you some of the performance from the past 10 years or so. As a Christian then, I have now stopped watching Eurovision. At first, I tried to persist with it. I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I would just change the channel or mute it when something dark came on. But the descent has become so dark and so obvious, and it's now so saturated with gay propaganda and really far left propaganda that I had to draw a line in the sand and say, as a Christian, I'm done with this. I began to feel almost contaminated after watching the Eurovision Song Contest because of what I'd seen and heard throughout the course of the evening. I began to feel like I needed a shower after watching it. It was that kind of feeling. Last weekend, I was reading Ephesians 5, which talks about what it means to live in the light. It says to do so is to avoid that which is obscene, coarse, immoral, and impure, taking no part in the worthless deeds of evil and darkness. The Bible also says to fix our thoughts on what is true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, and admirable, things that are excellent and worthy of praise. And to my mind, watching the Eurovision Song Contest now contravenes that instruction from God, from the Bible. I know some Christians are still persisting with it, and I know it's difficult to give up this annual tradition, which has so much nostalgia tied to it from our childhood. But I think we have to admit that as Christians, it's long been time to say goodbye to Eurovision because of what it's now become. It's not the thing that we once knew and loved. It's now a platform for this far left extreme gay propaganda, darkness, evil. And I just don't think that Christians can justify watching it and being a part of it any longer. Let me know your thoughts though. I'd love to hear them. Have you given up Eurovision as a Christian? If not, my question would be, what would it actually take for you to give it up? But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this video.